All right, at a request, I'm going to make this video about how to graph an equation when it's written in slope-intercept form. The nice thing about slope-intercept form, this is what it looks like, is it's named because you can easily identify the slope and the y-intercept. When you've got an equation in slope-intercept form, this m and this b are going to be numbers. The m always represents the slope. And slope, as you probably know, is the rise of the line over the run of the line. B is always the y-intercept, and it's where the line crosses the y-axis. So when it comes to needing to graph an equation, some pretty easy steps to follow. A lot of words, not as confusing as it looks though. First thing you're going to do is you're going to plot the y-intercept on the graph. This is going to be where your starting point is when you actually construct your line. So if we're going to follow these steps, I'm going to go down to my first example. In this equation, if I put the y equals mx plus b above it, my m is -1/2. That's my slope. Now, because it's a negative slope, what that means is my line is going to go down 1 unit, then to the right 2 units. But I can't move my line at all until I have graphed this y-intercept. So if I come over to my graph and I go up to 6 on the y-axis, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I plotted that point. Now I'm going to take the directions that my slope is giving me and I'm going to follow them. From this point, I'm going to go down 1 and over 2 and make another point. And I can keep going. Down 1, over 2, down 1, over 2. Keep in mind, when you're navigating and drawing your line with the slope, the run always moves to the right. The negative symbol just determines whether this goes up or down. And because it's negative, your rise is going to be down. But your run always goes to the right. So this is what the line of y equals -1/2 x plus 6 would look like. So first thing, plot the y-intercept. Second thing, use the slope to find the rise and the run. Then starting from your y-intercept, count out the rise and the run to draw the lines. I've got a couple things to remember down here, and we'll talk about those. I've already talked about the first one. If the slope's positive, your line's going up. Slope's negative, your line's going down, and the run always moves to the right. So let's do this one, -2x plus 3. Here is my y-intercept. So I'm going to plot it first. I'm going to go over to the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to graph that point. My slope is -2. What that means is my line is going to go down 2 units, but because it's a whole number, I don't have the fraction. Well, if you've got a fraction as a slope, or if you need a fraction as a slope, but the slope's a whole number, the rise becomes that whole number and the run is 1, because to create a fraction, you just put a whole number over 1. So what happens? This -2 just gets a 1 underneath. Now my rise is down 2. My run again is over 1. So I come over here, 1, 2 down, over 1, 1, 2 down, over 1. This is what the line of y equals -2x plus 3 would look like. And finally, what if you have to graph a line that looks like this? Well, here's the thing. M is my slope. That does not mean x is my slope. I need the coefficient in front of the x. Well, in this situation, there is no coefficient. But an algebra shortcut is when you're dealing with a variable, they don't write more than they have to. How many variables is this? This is 1x. So it's the same thing as if there was a 1 in front of it. So my slope here is 1. Now, because it's a whole number, I need to put it over 1. Because it's positive, it means my line's going to move up 1 every time it moves to the right 1. Be careful here, plus the b. This isn't a plus, this is a minus. That means that my y-intercept is actually a -1. So I'm going to start with this -1, come over to my graph, go down 1, plot my point. Now my slope told me rise 1, run 1, up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. That is what that line should look like. Hopefully this helps clear up any confusion.